Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. It is Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit Giants spring training from last week, which were the games that took place between March 10th and March 16th. So, obviously, as always, I'm not including the games that took place or the game that took place yesterday on Monday, the 17th, or they have two going on tonight. So, for those of you that are listening a little later on, those may have already taken place as well. So, those won't be included in these numbers. So, just keep that in mind. But before we jump into that, we're going to have a really good live show this coming Friday. Jeff Young is going to come join us. He's agreed to jump on with us on Friday. He's awesome. Best follow on X for my money. And anybody that's watched the show in the past, Jeff has been a guest in the past for us. So we're going to give kind of a season preview, and we're going to all give our record predictions, including Jeff. He's going to give his predictions. So looking forward to Friday. It's going to be a really fun one. If you guys do enjoy the content, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're, still steady growth going on, and really looking forward to having baseball season going and being able to talk about actual baseball. That's been the best part of spring training, is getting to talk about actual baseball. So looking forward to the regular season. Hopefully we'll have a lot of really fun stuff going on during the season. But yeah, without any further ado, we're going to jump right into who kind of stood out last week. And let's start it with the $182 million man, Willy Adames, who 4 for 12, 2 home runs, including giving the fans kind of their first look at him during one of the televised games. And on the broadcast, hit a home run to left field, which was really good to see. Also went Oppo Taco with one. He's always had kind of the full field power. I know there are concerns by some people on how well the power to right field will play, but he does hit the majority of his home runs to left and center. I think, day game, he could probably get one out to right. He does have good power almost down the right field line even. So I don't think the wall will be as big of an issue as we think. But, some of those home runs might turn into doubles or triples, which, hey, that's okay too. And obviously some might be an out if it's in right center field. But Adames, great week. He made an error, but he also did make a really good defensive play deep in the hole, playing behind Birdsong. So that was good to see. Next on the list, Elliot Ramos, who, he was off to a slow start in spring training. And I think any of us really expected that. The big thing with him is everyone has to remember he was a couple weeks behind everybody. Obviously he showed up. He was doing his normal, simulated at bats and getting his work in before the game started. And then he had the oblique injury. He missed almost 2 weeks. I think it was like a week and a half or nearly 2 weeks. So he was really 2 weeks behind everybody. So he came in, his timing wasn't there, and he was a little slow getting going. And that's fine. But last week, really kind of stepped it up. 6 for 16, a home run and 2 doubles. Kind of the guy that we saw a lot last season, where he gets the barrel on the ball and he hits it hard. So that was good to see Ramos get going. I mean, I said it last week or on the live show, somebody asked if I was concerned about him. And really the answer is, as long as his timing's good by March 27th, when we're hitting opening day in Cincinnati, I don't really care. So good, but good to see it get it going now, as opposed to later on. Luis Matos, 7 for 15, a home run, a walk, and a stolen base. I had to throw the walk in there because, this is a guy that everyone likes to talk about his walk rate, even though he's hitting like 380 right now in spring training. So he did draw a walk. He did draw another one yesterday. But, he did have a game where he hit a home run, a walk, and he had a single to right field, so it went the opposite way. I felt like that was about as good a game as he could have to answer some, and he made a good defensive play in center field. So answering detractors of his with that game. And all in all, he's just barreling the ball right now. He is just a hitter, and it's fun to watch. And I don't personally concern myself with the walk rate. He's getting a lot of pitches to hit. If pitchers are throwing strikes to Luis Matos, I think we all have to just accept the fact the walk rate ain't going to be high. Now, when we get to the regular season, pitchers maybe start being a little more careful, and they're not just trying to attack the zone. At that point, maybe we get concerned if he's still only walking 3% of the time. But as it stands right now, I can't complain about a guy that's hitting 380. Like that's the simple fact of the matter. So another great week from him. Casey Schmidt had a solid week, 4 for 12, a double and a stolen base. Again, he's just been playing good ball. He also made a really great defensive play at third base. Obviously, he's not going to play third. If he with his opportunities, yes, he might get a couple chances here and there at third base where the Giants have kind of openly said they want to give Matt Chapman a few more days off in the field and get him. He'll probably DH those days. So Casey could, if he is on the big league team, and frankly, he's had the better spring between him and Wisely. But if he's on the big league team, he'll probably get very limited opportunities at third. His chances are going to be more likely to come at second base, depending on how Tyler Fitzgerald's doing. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's hitting the ball and he's playing well. He's not striking out a ton. He's not drawing a lot of walks either, but similar to Matos, he's well above average on making contact in the zone. And he's been doing a better job of not chasing a ton. And he's putting the balls in play or putting balls in the zone in play. So that's just kind of what we got to hope for out of the guy. Next is Gerard Encarnacion. Obviously, he was the star of the first week of spring training, first week and a half. He had kind of a quiet week in the second week. And he's back to swinging the bat pretty well again. 6 for 19, a home run, and 2 doubles. He has huge power, particularly right, or to center field, right center, right field. Great opposite field power. Now, the questions are fair when people ask, how is that going to translate to Oracle Park? And honestly, my feelings on the matter are just let him be him and let the power play, and let's just see what happens. Because when you're producing exit velocities that are, up there with the Shoheis and Judges and all those guys, let's just see what happens as far as playing in Oracle Park, because you can't send that guy elsewhere, and he's hitting. So you just got to see what happens. And Ramos showed last season that with an approach that, primarily plays to center and right field, you can still have a lot of success in Oracle Park. I mean, I know Ricky likes to point it out. Oracle Park has, by distance, the shortest center field in the major leagues. So it's fine. If Encarnacion has a ton of power to center field, let him hit homers to center field. He'll be successful. He hit a couple last year. Ramos hit a bunch to center last year. It can play. Now, maybe it's not going to be as consistent as if your power is more to your pull side. Who knows? We're just going to have to kind of see that. I would love to see him pull a couple more balls. I think with Ramos, you're seeing it a little bit where he does pull a few more than he used to, but you can't turn these guys into what they're not. So good to see Gerard get going. For my money, he should be playing the Wilmer Flores role, first base, DH, and him and Flores are pretty redundant in my opinion. So that's part of why I would be moving on from Wilmer Flores, but that's me. We're here to talk about Encarnacion. Grant McCray had another solid week, 4 for 12, a triple, 2 doubles, 2 walks, and he only struck out 3 times in 14 plate appearances. That's 2 straight weeks where he's been really solid. If you throw out his that first week and a half or so where he was striking out about 2/3 to 3/4 of the time, he's actually having a really good spring. And seeing the improved strikeout rate, even with that horrible start he had, if you look at his K rate in the spring, it's like 26.6%, which is not, still higher than we want, but it's a step in the right direction. I've said it. He just needs to get it at least below 25%. If he's below 25%, I feel pretty confident in him as a major leaguer. Now, if he can get that down into the low 20s, I mean, you're looking at a guy that could develop into a star, but I want to at least see him get that down like 25-ish%, hopefully below. And he's, showing off last couple weeks. He's been really putting the ball in play. So I don't know if he made any kind of mechanical adjustments. I don't know if it's an approach thing. You're not seeing him sell out for home runs or anything like that. He's just getting it in play and using his legs. And that is an excellent approach for a guy like Grant. Now we're going to go through a couple pitchers. Justin Verlander again stood out. 5 innings pitched, earned run, 4 hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts. Played well, pitched well against the A's. He's still hitting 96, and I think in his last outing, he actually pitched yesterday, I believe, against Chicago. Hit 96.5 with a pitch. So the velocity is still really good. Off speed's good. Control's good. I mean, if he's healthy, sorry about that. If he's healthy, I fully expect a really good season out of him. It's just how's his arm going to hold up at 42? I think that's the biggest question, because if he's healthy, I don't think there's any doubt that he's a good pitcher still. So nice to see him doing that. And he pitched around some trouble. So it was really, you got to see a lot out of him in that start. And then the guy who is quietly, we talked a lot about Landon Root. There's a lot of talk about Kyle Harrison's velocity and things like that, which we're going to get to those guys here in a few minutes. But the guy that really, if you just kind of quietly has gone about his business, and now you look down and you go, this guy's earned the fifth starter role at worst. And I mean, I've already said my piece regarding Jordan Hicks in the rotation. I am not a believer in Jordan Hicks as a starting pitcher. I'm not a believer that he has earned the right to be a starting pitcher. But I digress on that route. Hayden Birdsong has been arguably the best pitcher of any pitcher in the Giants camp in Giants spring training. His last week, 8 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 2 hits, no walks, 12 strikeouts. He was utterly dominant. Throwing strikes, check. Off speed, fastball, everything, the command, check. Like everything about how he looks right now. He has 4 legit pitches. His slider is not the greatest thing, but changeup, excellent. Curveball is a 60 grade curveball, and the fastball he's touching 98, 99, like easy. And it's kind of similar to what Verlander used to do earlier in his career, where he's still hitting it in the 5th inning, 6th inning. He hasn't thrown past 5 in spring, but we've seen it in the majors where he's carried it into the 6th, 7th inning. He's carried the velocity. So, I mean, his upside's pretty incredible. And I love his pitch mix. I love his makeup. I think he has got the potential to be a special pitcher. And frankly, he should be a major league. He should be the major league starter in 4th or 5th in the rotation, depending on what you do with Jordan Hicks. I think Birdsong's earned it, and I say that as an absolute Landon Roop truther. Love the guy. Birdsong's earned it. That's where I'm at. And obviously, there's another week. Something can happen. Yes, opening days, 9 days from today, things can change. But that's where I stand right now with Hayden Birdsong. He is a starting pitcher in the Giants rotation if I made the decision today. Speaking of Landon Roop, he did not pitch in the majors last week. They had him go over to Papago, pitch against, it might have been the Angels minor leaguers, Rockies minor leaguers, one of those teams, in a simulated game. And he pretty much dominated as well as you can dominate. Bob Melvin skipped the Giants spring training game to go watch Roop pitch in that simulated game, and Roop just casually threw 5 innings, gave up 1 hit, struck out 13 guys, and gave up no runs, including 9 hitters to start the game. They made a joke. I don't remember if it was one of the coaches came out and told him that if he kept pitching like that, they were going to just start throwing runners out there just to change it up on him because he wasn't allowing anybody to do anything. So, and the most encouraging thing with it, through 66 pitches, 51 for strikes. And yes, we can talk about how it was against minor leaguers all we want. I don't care what level you do it at. That's impressive. And just the part, and I don't put a lot of stock into things that happen to Papago. At the end of the day, I care a lot more about what he's shown in the major leagues last year, in the minor leagues previously, in spring training this year, like in the actual games. Like I care more about that than I do about what he does in Papago. But the 51 strikes on 66 pitches, his ability to consistently fill up the strike zone, that's encouraging. And that's something that he's always had. And that's part of why I'm a believer in him. And I am so much more comfortable with having him over Jordan Hicks in the rotation. So I think that plays. Occasionally he's going to have a blow-up outing. We saw it against Chicago. But I'm going to compare him to Logan Webb in this regard. Not saying he's Logan Webb because he's not. But we've seen this kind of stuff out of Logan Webb too, where when you throw a sinker ball and you kind of lose your command. And when I say lose your command, I mean, he's still throwing strikes, but obviously he's not spotting it well in the zone. You miss out over the plate, you miss up in the zone, miss over the heart of the plate and or up, you get knocked around. We've seen that with Webb a ton of times where he just has a game where he just doesn't have it and he gets hit around for 4 or 5 runs, and because he's just not locating down around the knees where he needs to live. So Roop, though, had a obviously great appearance in Papago. Harrison, struggled last week. 3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts. The one encouraging thing that came out of it is the velo was back up, got back up to 94, 95 miles an hour. I think he hit 95 with a pitch. Good to see. As he regains his strength, I know he had the viruses and got sick. We'll see if that's sitting at 94, 95, 96. I've said he needs to have that velo up, especially because it doesn't appear like he's really developed his secondary pitches, and the command is a bit scattershot still. And it's nothing against him. Like Kyle Harrison actually was having a pretty solid season as a starter last year, but it's Major League Baseball. Things change and guys pass people. And quite frankly, Hayden Birdsong has passed him at this point. He is a better pitcher today. So it's hard to say like Kyle's really, not earned a job, because if you go off of last year, he kind of should deserve an opportunity. But I just, frankly, I think the other guys have been better and passed him at this moment. And there are some things with Kyle's game that probably need to improve, especially the command. I think he really needs to develop some secondary pitches, and I think he's better suited doing all that in Sacramento than he is trying to figure it out in San Francisco. So the way it's trending, it feels like he should be in Sacramento. You never know with Bob Melvin and them and co that like who is going to end up getting that job, but because it feels like they really want Harrison to have it. But that's just kind of what I'm seeing right now. I'm not out on him. I'm not selling my stock in Kyle Harrison. It's just what I see and kind of what I feel watching him. Now, go through a couple of the other competitions really quick. Backup catcher Sam Huff had a solid week, 3 for 10, a home run and a walk. He's just had a really good spring front to start to finish so far. Max Stassi, he had a big week. He's kind of playing himself back into the competition. 3 for 5 with 2 home runs, including a game winner against the A's and a double in there. I still say Huff's probably going to be the winner of this job, the favorite. He's on the 40 man as it stands. And, now Stassi's way more experienced, a bit more of a veteran. But I think Huff has been getting good enough reviews for his defense and in his receiving skills, especially from guys like Robbie Ray, where I think they're going to be comfortable with him, as the backup. And he has just, quite frankly, a higher ceiling. There's a lot to like about his game. He's cheap. I mean, they're both cheap, but he's cost controlled for a number of years, and he's already on the 40 man. So he has that built-in advantage. And then for the utility spot, Brett Wisely, obviously him and Casey Schmidt are kind of the 2 remaining guys in that competition. Wisely went 3 for 11 with 2 walks. He's had a really solid spring overall. I think he's got like a 770 OPS, hitting over 300. But frankly, just Casey's been the better player, and Casey has more upside. So we talked about it on last week's live show. My gut kind of says Brett Wisely gets the job just for no other reason than he's left-handed. But the case can be made that if they believe that Casey Schmidt needs just everyday at bats and just let him play every day, like I get that part. Talking with Casey, I know that he doesn't want to go back to Sacramento. It's like the last thing he wants to do, even if it's a bench role in San Francisco. He just does not want to go back to AAA. He wants to be a major leaguer, and I get that. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the team decides, but that's kind of how I'm thinking that's going to play out. So let me know what you guys think. If there's any players that I left out that you really want to talk about. Obviously, I'm leaving bullpen guys out. It's so difficult to really highlight a bullpen guy when he gets 1 inning in a week. So what I'm going to do with those guys is on next week's show, when I talk I'm going to do week 4, but I'm going to bring the bullpen guys up and talk about like the entirety of their spring. So it's a larger sample size. So I'm not skipping them like by accident. Like that is intentional, and I will get around to those guys. So other than that, go Giants. Hopefully I'll have another video between now and the live show Friday, either come out tomorrow or Thursday. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, go Giants, and we'll see you all later.